Alright, Helldivers, let's talk armor. In Helldivers 2, you've got 3 main categories to pick from: light, medium, and heavy. Sure, they tweak your mobility and defenses, but here's the real kicker. What truly makes your armor shine are the passives. These hidden perks can completely change how you play, turning a standard mission into either smooth sailing or absolute chaos depending on what you bring. So before you go diving headfirst out of your Hell pod, take a step back. Picking the right armor passive isn't just about looking cool in the field. It's about survival, efficiency, and making sure you don't get turned into bug food. That's why today, we're breaking down the best armor passives in the game with our updated tier list, so you know exactly what to strap on before your next drop. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking armor passives in Helldivers 2. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching. The armor passives in this tier are in order from top left to bottom right: Acclimated, Advanced Filtration, Electrical Conduit, and Integrated Explosives. Alright, picture this. You are in the middle of a mission, bugs are everywhere, and suddenly you realize your armor passive is basically doing the same amount of work as that one friend who forgets to bring ammo. Yeah, welcome to C tier. These are the passives that sound cool at first glance, but once you actually put them on, you start asking yourself, why am I even wearing this? Let's start with Acclimated. The idea is that the 3 enemy factions each use their own flavors of pain: acid, electricity, fire, and gas. The catch? You are never going to fight all 4 in one mission, so while it feels like this should make you invincible against the elements, in reality, it is more like carrying an umbrella when the forecast says sunny with 0 chance of rain. Nice to have, but not really saving your life. Now, Advanced Filtration is one of those passives that makes you question your life choices. If you are not running a gas-heavy loadout, this thing does absolutely nothing. And even if you are, the difference it makes is so small you might as well just hold your breath and run through the poison clouds yourself. Seriously, if your strategy relies on this passive, you probably have bigger problems than the gas. Then we have Electrical Conduit. This one gets hyped up when people talk about fighting the Illuminate. Sure, it technically helps there, but honestly, there are far better options to pick. The one quirky use it does have is when your squad decides to go full mad scientist and bring arc weapons. In that case, the lightning can chain through you to extend its reach. Just remember, that means your teammates are literally using your body as an extension cord. Teamwork, right? And finally, Integrated Explosives. This one is, let's call it creative. It is only useful in very specific situations, usually involving tactics that are as dangerous to you as they are to the enemy. Yes, it can work, but it is the definition of high risk, low reward. Think of it as strapping fireworks to your armor and hoping for the best. Fun at parties, not so much when you are knee-deep in Terminids. The armor passives in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Feet First, Peak Physique, Inflammable, Scout, Adreno Defibrillator, and Unflinching. You know how every Helldiver has that one trusty but not flashy tool in their loadout? That's basically the vibe of B-tier armor passives. They are not bad by any stretch, but they are also not the kind of thing that makes you want to high-five your monitor. They sit comfortably in the middle, reliable, occasionally clutch, but never game-changing. Let's break them down. Starting with Feet First, this one is sneaky good. If you are the type of player who loves creeping around, the bonus to stealth is your best friend. Add in the extended point of interest detection, and suddenly you are farming super credits like you just discovered a secret cheat code. The immunity to leg injuries is the cherry on top. It sounds small, but not having your legs give out mid-firefight has saved more Helldivers than I can count. Next up, Peak Physique. On paper, melee damage and reduced drag sound awesome, until you remember that melee range is usually where you go to die. That being said, if you are lugging around the Dominator or a heavy machine gun, this passive makes a lot more sense. You get to swing your weight around with less penalty, and the melee buff does come in handy when you really need to punch a bug in the face. Inflammable is what you take when you want to cosplay as a walking barbecue pit. It is situational, but on fire-heavy planets, or if you are rocking flamethrowers and incendiaries, it shines. Terminids and the Illuminate do not exactly enjoy being roasted alive, and this passive makes sure you can keep cooking without instantly going up in flames yourself. Fire tornadoes? No problem. Just another Tuesday. Then there is Scout, which basically turns your radar into an early warning system. Being able to see enemy positions is super helpful for adjusting your tactics, and it definitely saves you from walking straight into a death ball of bugs. If it also revealed side objectives or hidden points of interest, this passive could easily climb into A tier. As it stands, it is solid, but not spectacular. Finally, Adreno Defibrillator and Unflinching bring their own unique flavors. Adreno gives you that one last stand moment when you go down, letting you fight for a few extra seconds before biting the dust. Combine that with longer stim duration, and you might just turn a loss into a clutch win. The problem is that the arc resistance it throws in feels like a joke. Nobody's picking this for lightning defense. Unflinching, on the other hand, used to be a meme with just flinch resistance. Now it gives bonus armor and even highlights hostiles with map pings. It is much better than before, but still not quite enough to hang with the big leagues in A and S tier. The armor passives in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Democracy Protects, Extra Padding, Ballistic Padding, Fortified, Servo-Assisted, Reinforced Epaulettes, and Gunslinger. Alright, now we are climbing into the A tier armor passives, the cream of the crop but not quite wearing the crown. These are the passives that make you feel tougher, stronger, and sometimes even cooler, without being completely broken. If you equip one of these, you are not going to regret it. Let's walk through them one by one. First up, Democracy Protects. The name alone feels like something you would scream while charging into a nest of Terminids. What it actually does is give you a solid defense boost, especially early on. Surviving lethal damage half the time is no joke. It is basically flipping a coin with death, and sometimes that coin lands on freedom. Then we have Extra Padding, which is as straightforward as it sounds. More armor, more resistance, less dying. You can never really complain about just being harder to kill. It is not flashy, but it is effective. Sometimes the simplest passives are the ones that keep you alive long enough to call in the big guns. Ballistic Padding sits right behind it. Not quite as universal as Extra Padding, but still worth equipping, especially when facing automatons. Since most of their units aim directly at your chest and love explosives, this armor passive acts like a personal insurance policy. You are still going to feel the hits, but you will not be folding like paper. Now, Fortified is where things get spicy. Against automatons, this passive basically graduates into S tier. It lets you tank rockets from Devastators, Hulks, and tanks while turning weapons like the machine gun into an anti-bot blender. If your mission briefing says, automatons spotted, slapping on Fortified is one of the smartest decisions you can make. Servo-assisted is the go-to against Terminids. That increased throwing range means you can chuck grenades straight into bug holes or toss stratagems without getting swarmed. Plus, it helps you shrug off those nasty claw attacks. In short, it lets you play smart from a distance and keeps your arms intact, something every Helldiver appreciates. Up next is Reinforced Epaulettes, which is basically the Swiss Army knife of A tier. It prevents limb injuries, which is huge against automatons, and it also boosts reload speed and melee damage. It is versatile, dependable, and works at every difficulty level. You really cannot go wrong with this one. And finally, we have Gunslinger. This one is tailor-made for players who like to live dangerously with weapons like the Deadeye or the Eruptor. Pair it with a stun-based primary and a hard-hitting sidearm like the Senator, and suddenly you are a one-person highlight reel. It is risky, but when it works, you feel like the star of your own action movie. The armor passives in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Engineering Kit, Med Kit, and Siege Ready. Welcome to the big leagues, S tier armor passives. These are the ones that make you feel like a walking war crime, the kind of passives that turn a tough mission into a highlight reel. When you equip one of these, you are not just surviving Helldivers 2, you are thriving. First on the throne is the Engineering Kit. Extra grenades in this game are pure gold. More grenades mean more closed bug holes, more destroyed automaton fabricators, more warp ships taken down, and more armored enemies melted with thermites. Toss in some stun locks on priority targets, and suddenly you are not just a Helldiver, you are the demolition crew, pest control, and fireworks show all rolled into one. Then we have the Med Kit and Siege Ready, Two passives so good they feel borderline unfair. Medkit lets you heal more often, which by itself is amazing. Pair it with the experimental infusion booster, and it is basically a cheat code for staying alive. On the other side, Siege Ready is the dream for ammo-hungry weapons. Extra ammo and faster reloads mean you can mow down endless waves without breaking a sweat. Together, these passives prove why S tier is reserved for the absolute best of the best. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.